So for some reason, all of my cameras are, uh, you know, not charged for some strange reason, even though I know they are charged. But they said, I guess, for the batteries to die for no fucking reason. Anyway, so here I am recording it off of my computer, off of my live stream thingy. Oops, live streaming. Look at that. Anyway, so so I'm talking about Electric State or whatever the fuck that movie is called. Um, I heard about it. Once, there's always a, hey, Netflix came out with a really bad movie, and I was like, okay, and there's times where, like, I'll put it on the list, and I was like, maybe I'll get to it or something. And then I don't, because there's like that J-Lo one called Atlas I never got to. There's that Kevin Hart plane one, and I never watched, and, people hated those. And I was like, But then this one I had to check out because of the combination of things. It was like, hey, it's the Russo brothers, Lee Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, you know, uh, based on, I think it was based on a graphic novel. So it's like based on Thing, disaster. And I'm like, give me, give me all that. Also, I'm just gonna start wearing my glasses like this, because I just can't see. I just cannot, for the life of me, be an adult and wear my glasses at a normal spot. Anyway, so yeah, the movie is terrible. So I don't know the graphic novel. I kind of know the artist who made the graphic novel, not personally, but I've seen their work before because they do concept art and all that stuff. Like a lot of times, when you watch like a sci-fi movie thingamajig, and if you're a nerd like me and watch behind the scenes stuff, they tend to be one of like the people nowadays who are like known for doing that. It's great work. I like their work. Again, I don't know what the graphic novel is. This is purely um, criticism on the movie, not the graphic novel. I feel like, just again, not knowing the graphic novel, I feel like the graphic novel was less bullshit than what I'm seeing. Anyway, obviously, I'm going to spoilers. This movie sucks. We're not doing the no. It's not. Anyway, so this movie takes place in like an alternate universe, like '90s, which of course it's like, yes, let's bring in Millie Bobby Brown. You know, she's Netflix darling and all that stuff. And the movie starts. It's like, I think they said it's 1990. And Millie Bobby Brown has way too much bronzer on her face. Like she literally, it's like her neck is like really pale. Like mind you, my face is like red, and then it's like, pale neck. But it's like, like I don't got makeup on. I got eyebrows on. Like look, my hands aren't even like the same color as my face. But but she is like they freaking put it like all up in this, and it's also kind of blotchy too, so it didn't feel like, oh, she's like outside sun kissed, because she's like young and she goes out in the sun, so she doesn't have skin damage yet, that kind of stuff. So it's just like it's all like blotchy, and it's like and it's also like weirdly like and then there's like a line, like you see like a separation of church and state between like her jawline area and then like neck, which is pale. So one, it was just like, wow, she's got the brown hair, all that stuff, and she's got a brother is supposed to be like a genius, and she's like, I can't believe you're gonna go to college before me, and he's like, I'm really smart, and he's really smart because he was sitting in like like a big auditorium classroom, but by himself, and he was just writing like equations. He wasn't really solving anything, but he was just writing. It's kind of like those scenes like Good Will Hunting where he's just like writing shit on the mirror. He's like, I'm just gonna write things. That's smart. That's math. That's what math is for people who don't understand math, you know? Um, and so it's like, yeah, da da da. And then they're like, we're siblings. We got our like handshake thing from the TV show. And then they're like, oh, well, now the TV show's canceled because there's robots and all that stuff. And it's like, anti robots? What? And then, like, fast forward, like, 4 years or something. I think it's 94, and the whole world went to shit. It was like fucking Terminator 2 had happened. You know what I mean? No, it's like Judgment Day, you know, Rise of the Machines, you know, like that happened, but like not as like intense like nuclear fallout as Terminator. You know what I mean? It was more just like, oh shit just kind of sucked, like in a Wally kind of way. And I think like Millie Bobby Brown even said that this movie was like live action Wally, and it's like, don't say that. Don't put that in the fucking air, because then Disney's gonna hear that and they'll be like, oh, money, we gotta milk it. Yes, I'm doing this with my hands, you know. Um, so there's all these like, you know, the little robots and all that stuff. The CGI for it, I really liked. It looked really good, you know. Um, like even the superimposing people's faces to like the monitor of these kind of like chappy droids in a sense, you know, those were done pretty well. Obviously it's very, very obvious you were like in a blackout screen and they're like, hey, you know, so you know, um but fine, you know what I'm saying? Like those are great, but like the story concept is like, okay, there was this like, you know, the robot wars in a sense, things didn't go well, and now like you're pretty much in a sense kind of like again with Wally, where everyone's just like stuck in the chair and all that stuff. Here everyone constantly has like the big VR. Remember old people like me in the 90s when the VR headsets were like these huge ass fuck off like things. Now like, you know, you got the Oculus things and they're just like, you know, whatever. But back in my day, they used to come out to here and they were, yeah, so just like what you see in the movie back in there where VR were, and then VR didn't look real. VR looked like the Lawnmower Man movie, you know, but you're still like, oh my god, you know. Anyway, so everyone's like just like in like a vegetative state in like their like helmets. And you even go to school like that. Like you go into school, you have to put on the helmet to learn that way. I guess you end up in a better classroom that's not falling apart, you know, like, oh, we're by the beach or some shit. Anyway, so yeah, so like everything's stuck in that, you know, whole thing. It's very I like the look of the movie because it's like retrofuturism, all that stuff. It's kind of like why I like the newest Alien movies, because it's like cassette futurism. Like I love that like ooh buttons and things exist, not the whole, you know, Apple Store thing where there's no button and like if the screen something happens, you know what I mean? Like none of that shit I cannot stand. Um and so like the look of it is cool, but then like again the concept of the movie is just really dumb, because you have like Millie Bobby Brown is not a bad actress, but like cuz you know in Stranger Things she, you know, she did like fucking amazing. But it's also like it's also like again she's supposed to be a teenager, so sure, I'm guessing she's, let's say, 17 or 16 or whatever in the beginning of the movie, but then, you know, they're supposed to jump 4 years. So let's say she's 20 now or whatever. Well, I mean, she is. Um, but again, it's like Millie Bobby Brown herself, like outside of the movie, I don't know who her people are. They have dolled her up into looking like a 35-year-old woman who is about to quit porn. You know, she's like, oh man, I'm 35. I'm gonna quit porn for a few years. I'll come back when I'm 40, when I'll hit that MILF category. You know, I'm in this weird in between spot where I can't play the young roles, but I'm not old. I don't look old enough to play the older lady roles. So I'm just gonna like chill for a few years and then I'll come back, be a MILF, you know? and and like does Millie Bobby like they like the makeup and the hair she does outside of this movie ages her so much. I think there was like a picture of her going to dinner with her husband, which is so weird to say she has a husband. Her husband is Tony Hawk's son, which again, I am old. I remember when that kid was literally like a little, you know, and I remember seeing Tony Hawk, you know, live in person. His son was skating with them because he's a little, you know, I am that old when I remember Tony Hawk having a kid, you know, like, and now his kid is all grown up and married to Millie Bobby Brown, who was born like a year or two before I worked at the Disney store. You know what I mean? Like, like she's like, oh, I know Little Einstein songs, and then my brain went like, I used to work at the Disney store and we sold Little Einstein. Oh my god, I am old, you know. So so in the movie, she's supposed to be, I guess, technically her actual age, but they're like, hey, let's overline your lips, you know. Oh, it's fine. I'll just overline her lips, you know. And then now she's blonde. I mean, she's blonde, but in the movie, she's like, okay, it's blonde, bangs. We gotta do bangs. Um, and then because it's like the '90s, you know, she's doing the long sleeve shirt under the short sleeve shirt kind of thing, which really lasted. That look really lasted a long time, and I am also guilty of doing the long sleeve shirt under the short sleeve shirt thing. I think they at one point towards the early aughts, they started to sell the short sleeve shirt with the long sleeve shirt attached to it. So it was a long sleeve, but with a, you know, where it made it look like, I remember that, and I remember thinking that's so dumb, you know. But anyway, um, so yeah, she's wearing that kind of outfit, and so it's 4 years later. Her family apparently died, you know, in a car wreck, all that stuff. She's the lone survivor, blah blah blah, right? So she's with some foster dad who's a piece of shit, who is Jason Alexander. That's her foster dad, you know. Okay. She's got an ankle bracelet on because ankle bracelet, yeah. So she's got the ankle bracelet on and all that shit. She's forced to go to school. She refuses to wear the VR headset at school, all that stuff. And you know, she just wants freedom, all that stuff. And so one day, you know, like like a little like, you know, robot dude shows up, and it's the robot from like the show that her and her brother used to watch. And you know, it could only speak in the catchphrases the robot knows, and it pretty much is saying like, "Hey, I'm your little bro," and she's like, "How are you, my little bro? My little bro is dead." And because it's just catchphrases, it's like, "We gotta go. We can do it. We gotta go. We can." You know, it's very much like it's like Bumblebee, you know, in the first Transformer movies where he's only able to speak in like movie quotes and stuff, which I thought it was always really fun. It's like he's a radio, and it's like you're not playing movies over a radio anyway. So, um, so there's that. So immediately she's like, "Oh my god, that's my little brother. Somehow he's alive." Believes it, and there's like this, like kind of, you know, DMZ area or something where they're like, you can't go in. If you go in, you can't go. You know, all this fucking shit. And she's like, "Oh well, my, you know, foster dad orders a lot of stuff from there, whatever. We gotta go because why not?" And she like, you know, takes the car out, all that stuff. She's like, "I don't know how to drive." Ends up with a flat tire. Of course, the spare tire is also flat because, you know, the plot says so. And you know, they go to whatever the PO box or wherever it is that, you know, the foster dad gets the fucking packages from, and that's when we meet Chris Pratt, who has weird, you know, hair to like about here or something, you know, wig obviously. Um, and so then they like hop into his truck, go back to his place, and he just has like, it's like an underground warehouse of just like random things. So this movie pulls like the whole like Ready Player One, um, Chippendales movie thing where there's a lot of IP in your face, and and I just, you know, I'm at the age where all I can think of is like, God, the amount of licensing you had, like a lot of clearance you had to do to okay for certain things to be seen, you know, like on screen, you know, and then you're just like, okay, I can see why this movie costs more, you know, again, besides it being Millie Bobby Brown, the Russo brothers, all that stuff. And I bet Netflix was like, let's give the Russo brothers all this movie because, like, look what they, all this movie, all this money, because of look what they've done with Marvel. And I mean, granted, The Winter Soldier is my favorite movie of the, you know, the freaking MCU. It's also very high in the military industrial complex propaganda, but that's also just how like not Marvel, the MCU, not the Marvel comics, but the MCU is. You know, I mean, duh. I can't believe it. You can't be. You watch Marvel. You watch Marvel movies, and then you also like don't like war. Like that doesn't make any sense. You're a hypocrite. Anyway, um, that's also Tumblr. So, what you call it? Anyway, so they get to his like lair thing and all that stuff, and Chris Pratt has his own little robot android thing that's voiced by Anthony Mackie, you know, and it's like because the voice was like, you know, cranked up a pitch, but like something with like the tonality of like how however the words, the cadence. That's a thing. That's the word I'm saying. The cadence, how it spoke. I was like, who was doing the voice of this? And it's Anthony Mackie. And I'm like, okay, well, they couldn't get Anthony Mackie, because he's Cap, but they were able to get Anthony Mackie. Um, so they get there, and all of a sudden, like, Giancarlo Esposito bot shows up, and he's like, I'm the bad guy, and it's like, wow, Giancarlo Esposito is the bad guy? No, I would never have thought Giancarlo Esposito was coming. Oh, and before that, when they were at the PO box truck stop, whatever thing, uh, Pullman Domingo bot shows up on a motorcycle, and I remember I just blurted out, I went, Pullman Domingo? Like, what? Like, it seems like everyone had a lot of bills to pay or had to do a lot of favors or something. Like, it seemed like because there's so many not no, known names in the cast. Like, what's his name? Alan Tudyk. He was the voice of the brother robot. Like there's some like other like big names too. But like, oh, Woody Harrelson is the voice of Mr. Peanut. Like Planters Peanut mascot thing robot is a thing in the you know. Yeah. So Giancarlo Esposito, evil Giancarlo Esposito, and would never. He shows up. He's like, all right, I need to kill you for reasons. I need to kill you because plot, and it doesn't matter. So then, like, they escape, and of course, Chris Pratt is like, God, we're fucked. We're in here. Well, I'm Chris Pratt. I'm Chris Pratt. Remember how everyone loved Goofy me? Remember Guardians of the Galaxy? Remember when you guys still liked me? Remember before, like, I just start, like, saying the most, like, crazy, not crazy, but like the most kind of like, really, what are you going on about? Yeah, the divorce hit him hard, you know. He was like, fuck, I fucked up this marriage, and now I'm with Schwarzenegger's daughter because that makes sense anyway. What's up with people who used to live in a van who are now like, we're just like suddenly conservative? It's like Jewel, Chris Pratt. I mean, whatever. um I still love how once Chris Pratt, like people found out he like donated money to like a mega church or something like that. They were like, man, I liked you when you were fat. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who, were technically healthier and they're a little bit more husky. But anyway, so um, what else was there? So yeah, Giancarlo Esposito, blah blah blah. Well, what else? So pretty much yeah, they like go to the no man land or whatever the fuck that part. That they go to the place, whatever, it's an abandoned mall. They go to the abandoned mall to find the brother and figure things out and all that shit. I'm like sinking further in my chair and like you can't see me. And so they go to this abandoned mall, and and my brain is like Millie Bobby Brown at a mall in the '90s. Go again. Um, and then I don't remember what happened because this movie is like over 2 hours long, and it didn't need to be because an hour and a half into the movie, I was like, we still haven't really done any. I remember just being like, we're an hour and a half in, and this movie should have been an hour and a half. We should have just hit like the minimum requirements. This movie could have been the like, what was the shortest fucking movie I watched? It was like 75 minutes something. And 15, the movie was technically an hour, and 15 of that was the credits. You know what I mean? And the credits were like purposely like credits. Um, anyway, yeah, so they go to the mall, and they're like, oh, are you good? Yeah, it's more of the like, you're not a good person, you're a bad way. No, are you good? Are you bad? Are you good? Are you bad? Giancarlo Esposito bots still exist somewhere out there. Oh no, there's other bots that work for Giancarlo Esposito. It's just, who cares? Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. I was at the point in the movie where I was like, I don't care. What is the resolve? Does the brother actually exist? Is someone like messing with her? How much more bronzer she's gonna put on her face? How is it that you're in a like a kind of apocalyptic, thing? You went through like sand and all this shit, and you still have like great mascara on. Your lip is just perfectly overlined to give you that perfect, like Charlotte Tilbury, lip, that kind of shit going on, you know, and it's fine. And then I don't know how I missed it, but at one point Chris Pratt's hair went from short to like, I mean short, went to like the, I guess short like this to his normal short, like to the length he had in Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's pretty much the same color. Um, God, he really wanted to be like the comic relief, but then the robot was better comic relief, and it just, I don't know. I also love how like with the plot of the Anthony Mackie robot is that like it's just like a child size kind of robot, but then like, oh, they needed to get across the thing, so now somehow it's like really big and carried like the Volkswagen, you know, like van thing, and then oh, something happened, and then it went back to normal size, and then like it got shot a fuck ton of times at one point, and then actually like a small version of it comes out, and I'm like, all right, movie, like okay, again, maybe that's how it is in the graphic novel and it explained better, and maybe I would probably pay better attention because I just at some point I was literally just staring at the movie and I was like, something actually happened rather than just kind of like, like actual plot and like, storytelling happen rather than like things just kind of being thrown at me, being like, look at all the CGI of robots happening, and it's just ay ay ay. So like they meet Woody Harrelson. They meet Planter's Peanut, and he's like, I'm the Planter's Peanut robot, blah blah. I tip my hat to you, but it's attached to robot jokes. Oh my god. So, oh god. So they find that the brother. Okay. So, Ke Huy Quan is in the movie. I think that role was originally supposed to be for Michelle Yeoh, and God bless Michelle Yeoh went to Wicked instead. You know, like, and so he's in it, and apparently when the car wreck stuff happened, they, of course, they gave the brother CT scan, realized, okay, he's a vegetable, but somehow with the CT scan, found out the brother's a genius because his brain is different from other people's brains, because that's how you can figure out a genius thing. Maybe his brain was bigger. Maybe they scanned it and literally read genius across it. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how Kanye West found out he was a. He got a brain scan and he was like, "Oh, it's not a tumor. I'm just a genius." Um, and so, uh, whatchamacallit, yeah, so they were like, well, he's a genius, so because of his genius, and they were able to freaking, ghost in the shell, alter carbon, chappy him and pull his consciousness into a robot and stuff, but then still, like, able to, pull the consciousness on, but then he can also, his body be its own person rather than just being kind of like Matrix style in the thing. He so whatchamacallit, so they found out, that they, like, because of his good brain, that was able to like fuel like the technology, the boom to like get the robots going. Like, I don't care. I don't care. It was just like, that's great. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna, brain equals good, robot brain, fine. You know what I mean? It was like, cool. That's what we're gonna do. Um, and so, like, um she was talking to the brother, in like the freaking like chamber that Bucky was in when he was put in like hibernation in Wakanda, and the brother was like, "Yo, unplug me." He was like, "Yo, like, unplug me. This does not need to be, like, I do not need to be living my life out in this robot of a cartoon character I used to watch. Like, I don't need to be in this existence." And of course, Bobby Brown does like her really good crying thing. She's like, "No, my brother, I need fucking, and then, but everyone's like, I don't know, war or something. Something was happening. I think finally something happened, but I stopped caring. So, war were declared, and, pretty much, she did unplug the brother, and because she unplugged the brother, that meant everyone else, every robot thing, even like Giancarlo Esposito bot, not Giancarlo Esposito himself, but the bots, you know, because they're not powered anymore. Because it's like, well, what? Like you just unplug one fucking thing and then it's like, okay, God, it's just read how to reset the router and then it wouldn't turn back on anymore. What? You know? Um, and so of course then like Giancarlo Esposito like takes off the VR helmet. He's kind of like, oh, and like I don't know. I don't know how much they had to pay him for that role. You know, I mean I get it. You know, you have a certain look. Everyone knows play a great bad guy. You know, and he does, and he does very well with every role that he plays a bad guy. Obviously, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, fucking amazing. The Mandalorian. Well, like when he showed up in the Mandalorian, I was like, oh, well, we're fucked because look who is the bad guy, you know. And then what you call it? Like here, like he does well with being like, oh, I'm intimidating and Zito kind of shit. Like anyway, yeah. So then like it just that's the movie, and then like I feel like when it I don't even remember what happened with Chris Pratt much. Again, he was just comic really. He was just pretty much playing Star Lord, you know. Like it was just pretty much Star Lord, and it's just yeah, it's not that good. Apparently, like this comic came out. The comic came out in 2018, but the Russo brothers had bought the rights for it in like 2017. I think it's kind of like with with Edgar Wright and like Scott Pilgrim, where he bought the rights for it before the comic was finished. So they were like writing a script for the movie before the comic itself was finished. So like I get it when like some concept comes out and you're like, this sounds good. This sounds good to be like a show or a movie or something, and you're like, sure, you know, because obviously it takes longer time to develop like you know um movies and all that stuff. I think this guy also did like um concept art for there's that Amazon show that lasted one season called like Tales of the Loop or something. I've been that's been on my list to watch forever, but yeah, so you know, I don't know, man. This ain't it. This ain't it, and it truly is bad. You know, I gave it a 1 star because I just someone I know was like, dude, it took me 3 days to try to get through it. It was so boring. They're like, but you'll love it. I obviously knew what they meant by that. And then I was like, perfect. And I put it on and I was like, you know, like, it's okay. So it's not bad where I'm complaining and super nitpicking at everything. It's not like Zack Snyder Rebel Moon kind of thing where I'm like, for God's sakes. You know, I mean, also, that was just like, this is Star Wars. This is, you know, you're like picking out like, this is the. Although I did say this movie was chappy, you know, I almost said Born Identity. Where did that come from? Um, but yeah, I also named a few things, but it wasn't like such blatant ripoffs like what Zack Snyder did. Um, but also yeah, like this movie wasn't like so bad that I was just dying laughing and like I was like, oh god, am I gonna have to like start typing out notes? You know, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I was just kind of like I think all the cameos and all like the well known names also kind of like threw me out of it because it was just like, oh, it's a sci-fi movie, so we gotta have these, you know, and it's like, oh well, it's also Russo brothers, so yeah. Oh, and then also the one Russo brother always makes a cameo. Of course, he's there, and it's like this close to his face. He's like, "We need to eliminate the and it's just like, um, I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, it's not good. Netflix is like, oh, we don't have enough money. We waste money. When a show does well, we're just gonna cancel it unless it makes us like an absorbent amount of money. You know, unless it becomes like insane. Yeah, if it goes like, you know, Stranger Things, you know, where people are like obsessed like crazy with it, then yeah, we'll give it more seasons. But other than that, we'll just cancel everything. You know, oh, there's a new movie we added to the platform. Well, by the end of the month, it's gonna be gone. Oh, this movie we're thinking about. Well, we just exploded the movie. You know, we're like, okay, cool. Um, kidding. Oh, but we will give you mad seasons of horrific dating reality shows. And now we have wrestling as well. You want to see wrestling? We have wrestling. I didn't ask for that. but thanks, you know. But do you want to watch Temptation Island? What? No. What about Love Is Blind? No. What about okay? What's that other one? I'll say The Circle, but that's that movie. That is Love Is Blind. Anyway, the what's that one where it's like there was like the AI robot thing talking to, I don't know, just whatever shit that I've seen Trixie and Katya have made fun of. But yeah, this is not good. Actually, I need to watch the Trixie Katya the video of them watching this movie because yikes. And it's also funny because I feel like the people like whatever Netflix promo people were like, "Oh, this movie's bad," even though it's on our platform. We'll just have these two drag queens make fun of it, you know? Yeah. I mean, I could have watched Squid Game season 2, but no. No. Don't watch the good stuff. I gotta watch the bad stuff first. Because you watch the bad stuff, then you can appreciate the good stuff. Everyone's like, watch Severance? No, I have not watched Severance. But, watch this movie. Alright, done.